This one. Hey, how do I turn this camera around? There we go. Hey, now somebody else say something. This is the second phone. See if we got any service up here. Somebody say something. If you can hear us, if it's a little bit better, if we got sound on it, let us know. Better? Better? You want to sing another song? It's up to you. You do what you want to. Hey, we're sorry. Oh, I know somebody's mad, so we're going to get the story out there. We ain't going to stop. If we got to go to Verizon ourselves and get this thing going, we're going to do it. Okay? So, hey, everybody, we thank you for staying with us. I think we've got a decent phone now, and we've got service. So, we're going to let her get back on here and start again. So, everybody, hey, just get together and pray together that we can get this story out. No matter what, we're going to keep going. So, here she is.
Well, I'm not sure exactly where I got to, so I guess I'll just try to start again. I'm not sure what I even said, but anyway, y'all pray for me. Like I said before, I'm nervous about this. I've never done anything like this before. But I was saying, those of you who don't know me, I'm the older sister of not one but two brothers who both fell under addiction. And by nature, I kind of am a mother hen and bossy, so it was no surprise when both of my brothers fell under addiction that I felt like that I had to take it on myself, that I had to try to fix them because that's what big sisters do. But I quickly learned that something that I couldn't fix, even though we were raised in church and raised in a good home, we didn't come from a bad childhood or anything like that. No reason whatsoever as far as things like that may cause somebody to turn to drugs. We were from a good home, but for whatever reason they fell under addiction, and I took that on personally, that I had to take that on myself. So early on we had gut feelings that they were into things they shouldn't have been into, but never could catch them in the act or anything like that. So as years passed, they just continued to get worse, and I just would cry and pray and beg God, just to give them one more day, just another day to spare their life, to change their life, to turn their life around. It got to a point that I was afraid to answer my phone, even a phone call from a coworker that I knew deep down would have no idea anything about my brothers. I was somehow afraid that may be a phone call saying that they'd found one of them dead. And I walk the floors at night, get where you can't sleep, can't eat, but that was just, it's a long, dark road. It's hard. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But let me tell you, I'd do it all again. I'd do it all again. I remember times, going and having to wake them up for work and begging God, please don't let them be dead. Please don't let them be dead. Not today. I didn't want to find them that way. I remember one night a situation that went outside to get ready to leave for work and found one of them laying on my front porch. No idea how long he'd been there. It was kind of cold. But what hurt me the most was I couldn't leave him there. While I had to go to work, I couldn't leave him. I couldn't trust him to be in my home. I had to take him and drop him off at a wooded area where he wanted, with no idea if I'd ever see him again, how he would be, or anything like that, because I couldn't trust him to be in my own home. But my message tonight is, no matter how dark it gets and how bad they get, there's hope, and you can't give up on them. You can't give up on them. Your people are worth fighting for. Listen, I can't begin to even put it into words, all the things that I've been through with both of my brothers. But let me tell you, without hesitation, I'd do it all again. Every bit of it. Just to see them recover and to get where they're at. It used to get to a point so bad that I'd beg God, take me. Don't take them, give them another day. Because I knew that I was saved. I knew that if I died, I knew where I was going. So beg you, if you've got people out there, don't give up on them. Don't turn your back on them. Just love them. Don't enable them. You know, I'm a firm believer in tough love, and that's exactly the point that we had to get to with both of them. It got to the point that I wouldn't give them money. If they called and said they needed food, I'm like, come eat at my house. You know, or if they needed gas money, I'd fill their car up. It got to the point that, you know, you couldn't give them money because you knew exactly what they were going to do with it. Don't enable them. I'm not preaching that message at all, but I am telling you to love them. Because listen, when they get to that point, they don't care whether they live or die, and you have to fight for their lives. I felt it was my responsibility that I had to fight for their life because they'd given up on theirs. And I'm begging you, if you've got people out there, don't turn your back on them, no matter what they've done to you. Listen, anything you can think of, my brothers have done. My brothers have done, and they've done it to my family, but I couldn't turn my back on them because in the end, it was my responsibility to make sure that I loved them and that I got them back to where they needed. And it wasn't nothing I'd done. It was praying and crying and begging God. And like I said, I would beg God to spare their life and take mine because I knew where my hope lied. I knew that I would be okay. You know, and I'm just begging you, just don't give up on them. Just love them. You have to love them because there's nothing you can say or do to make them feel any worse than what they do. They already know that about themselves. They already tell themselves that. So there's nothing that you can say or do to make them feel any worse about themselves. But turning your back on them, that won't help anything. You need to love them. You need to love them and pray and pray. I beg, if you don't have a relationship with God, first off, you need to get a relationship with God to where you can beg and you can plead and cry out to God to save them, to save your people. And just when you think that you've begged and you cried all that you can, you muster up more strength and you do it. You do it some more, because all the years that my family begged and prayed God to save them, you know, and I'm not going to lie, my faith got thin. There was times that I felt like I'm going to see them, I'm going to have to bury them. I'm not going to lie that there's times that there was one night that it come to me. I felt like the harder I prayed and the more I prayed, the worse they got. And one night I sat down and I began to write their obituaries because I thought, if something happens, at least I'll have that part taken care of. My faith got thin, it did, but I never lost hope that I knew what God could do. My thought was, are they willing? Are they willing? And you know, it got very dark before they ever gave in, and to me, I couldn't see God working. It just seemed like the harder I prayed, the worse they got. But God was working on the other side, and I couldn't see that. But all of a sudden, when I thought that all hope was gone, that's when they decided that they would change their lives. It happened with one. Just so happened, Brother Randy had come in, and I didn't even know it at the time. I just got word from a coworker that down at a church that some men from the roll-offs homes was going to be there. So I begged both of my brothers to go. When, of course, the one that I thought would show up didn't, and the one who I thought wouldn't show up did. And just so happened it was Randy, my own cousin. And I had no idea. I'd seen Randy in years past, and I knew he had kind of got off into addiction and stuff, but I hadn't seen him in years, so I had no idea. So even that night when I left, even hearing Randy's story when I left and my brother sitting there, I thought that went in one ear and out the other. It didn't. He just came to please me. That's all he did, is just to shut me up. But you know, it wasn't just a few weeks later a few days later that both of my brothers and another friend OD'd, and my older brother called, and he decided he was ready to give up that lifestyle. You know, and he ended up going back to Corpus Christi with Randy and them, and I'm ever so thankful. So then it put more pressure on the younger one, you know, when he ran, and he fought it probably for another 4 or 6 weeks before, you know, we could get him to go. And to be honest, if he was telling the truth, he probably went to shut us up, but that's okay, because he ended up finding God and changing his life too. And, you know, my older brother at the time, I always worried about him. And like I said, I'd ask God to take me instead of them, because the older one, he had never had a profession of faith, you know, and I was so afraid that, you know, I was going to have to bury him knowing good and well he wasn't saved. But I'm so thankful that when he did go to the roll-offs home, that he accepted Christ as his Savior. And, I'm so thankful now to know that, they could turn back today into that lifestyle, and I'd do every bit of this again, I would. But I'm so thankful at least now I know that they have a profession of faith, and I don't have to worry about that. So my message tonight is please just love your people. Nobody sets out to be this way. Nobody wakes up one day and decides they want to be a drug addict. And they're just people who've made wrong choices. They're good people who've made wrong choices, and they just deserve to be loved, just like anybody else. No matter the wrong that they do, they deserve to be loved. So I'm just begging you to love your people and to pray and cry out for God to save them. And if they're willing, and I know that's something that they have to be willing, but you can't give up on them. You've got to keep praying for God to give them another day to have that opportunity. So I just beg you, don't give up on your people. Just pray them through it, no matter how long it takes. I prayed for years and years and years. And I never knew whether, I thought that, that I might die before I ever seen them turn their lives over. I'm thankful that God allowed me to see that, but God still answers prayers long when we're gone, because my Aunt Darlene prayed for them too, and she was gone before she got to see them turn their lives around. But God will still answer prayers, and my message is just don't give up on them. You have to love them through it. They're worth it. No matter how hard it is, no matter how dark it gets, they're worth every bit of it. They're worth it. And I beg you, if you don't have a relationship with God, He's the only thing. He's the only thing that's going to get them through. He's the only thing that's going to get you through. So I just beg you, turn it over to God. Give it to Him and let Him carry it. It's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do, but you have to love Him through it. And that's really all I have to say. But just if there's anything that I can do or say to be a help to anybody, please feel free to message me, because I want to be there for other people. I know what it's like to lay down at night and know that you may never see your brothers again, or you may never see your family again. So if there's anything that I can do, feel free to message me, and I'll pray with you.
Well, right there's why the devil didn't want that story out. Because it's so easy for us to say, hey, listen, they messed up. Turn you back. It's so easy to say it's their fault. Turn you back. When the faith comes in and the hard times come, when you don't see God working, I heard her say a lot of times she'd pray that God would take her so they would have another chance. Have you ever prayed that prayer for somebody? Have you ever felt so deeply for somebody that you would say, take me first and give them another day? Well, I tell you what, good old praying mama, good old praying sister might just be the very one that tuned into God one day and He said, you know what? I think I'm going to show out again. You see, I think God likes to do that. God likes to do stuff that nobody else can take credit for. I think He did that in this life, in this family's life. Like I said, addiction's 10 times harder on the family. A lot of this family sitting here and just thinking about those times is hard. They're on the better side now. That's why they can talk to you right now and tell you that there is hope. But the times is still hard. The bad stuff still happens. They continue to pray, continue to lift up their names and call out their names to them. So, hey, we got another surprise for you. They're going to sing another song, man. I feel like we've just had church tonight. So, hey, we appreciate y'all tuning in and encourage them, lift them up. This ain't about me. This is about get everybody's story out. So, hey, if you just forget I was even here, that'd be great with me. And just listen to what they have to tell you. It's okay. I love every one of you.
Father.
to do for you. And this song is called Big Enough. No matter what you're going through in life, God is big enough to handle whatever it is. You just have to surrender and give it to Him.
Yeah.
That's all He wants from you. He wants to take care of it. You just have to lay it down and surrender.
Go ahead. Amen.
Got a heart that's full of faith-filled helplessness. There are mountains ahead that I can't move by myself. But I know when I'm weak, He's strong. I can barely breathe, it's still a song. Even though it's hard right now, I'm not here on my own. So when it seems it can't be done, I know God is big.
Amen.
I can run the race I'm called to run, 'cause I know God is big enough. He'll finish everything He starts, meet us right here where we are. I can feel faith rising up, 'cause I know God is big enough.
Amen.
There were days when the shadows of doubt made me feel small. I declare that I don't stand in my strength at all. 'Cause I will live a day in His plan. Every single moment is in Your hands. Even if the whole world shakes, You're the rock on which I stand. So when it seems it can't be done, I know God is big enough. I can run the race I'm called to run, 'cause I know God is big enough. He'll finish everything He starts, meet us right here where we are. I can feel faith rising up, 'cause I know God is big enough. Bigger than the fear that surrounds me, bigger than the chains that have bound me, bigger than the story my past can tell. Thank you, Lord. Bigger than the weight of tomorrow, bigger than the hurt and the sorrow, bigger than the lies I've told myself. So when it seems it can't be done, I know God is big enough. I can run the race I'm called to run, 'cause I know God is big enough. He'll finish everything He starts, meet us right here where we are. I can feel faith rising up. So when it seems it can't be done, I know God is big enough. I can run the race I'm called to run, 'cause I know God is big enough. He'll finish everything He starts, meet us right here where we are. I can feel faith rising up, 'cause I know God is big enough. 'Cause I know God is big
How about that? So, the way we're going to end this tonight's a little bit different. I want everybody to think of that one that you think God can't do nothing with, that you think not even God can fix them, and I want you to pray for them. Not just tonight. I want you to reach out to them. You let them know you love them and that you're praying for them, and that it don't matter. No matter what, there's a God that can. There's a God that can fix them. There's a God that loves them. And you keep doing that. And you pray specifically for things to be done in your life. And you watch how big God is. I promise you. I love every one of you. We're going to get off here and probably have church. Amen. I don't know how to turn this thing off on his phone.